This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 341. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Dude, good to be with you today. I'm really excited because I get to announce that my holdout is over, and we've agreed, Brandon and I, on a 4-year, $72 million extension to keep me on with the Seahawkers Podcast here for another 5 years in total. And I'm fired up about it.
The holdout was brutal. In fact, we missed our podiversary last week because of the holdout. But now we can come back and we can celebrate.
Yeah, I don't know what my first purchase is going to be, but I'm really excited to spend
podcast Hobo Shack.
Yeah, all those Benjamins. So hooray for me.
Hooray for you. You just had to one up Jamal, right? When you saw that deal come down for Jamal Adams, 4-year extension for the Seahawks, $70 million, you said, give me $2 million more and I'll come on. And just because you had to beat Jamal. And really, when you think about it, in terms of who impacts this show more, it's obviously you.
Yeah, I wanted to be compensated and recognized as the best weapon in the game.
It's a good thing, or maybe not a good thing. I turned down a potential sponsor, but we'll get into that later.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That could have helped me pay some of your $72 million, but maybe not.
Oh, well, not. I don't really care where you get the money. I just want it.
And the funny thing, the thing I want to talk about most with Jamal Adams is just how hilariously this set up. Because on Monday of this week, the Seahawks, they're ready to go and let Adams play the final year. They're going to franchise tag him. You know, they've stopped negotiation. They're right where they're at, and they're not moving any farther. And then that same day, you hear from Jamal Adams' side, well, he's going to challenge his position. He's not a safety. He actually plays more snaps at linebacker. So if the Seahawks are going to franchise him, then he's going to challenge him as a linebacker so he can get more money. And these were the signals that both sides were done negotiating, and this was ultimately super close. It was just each side making one last push to see, okay, are they going to come my way a little bit more, or which way is this going to swing? And it turns out 2 days later, the deal's done.
Yeah, it was hilarious because I did watch you post some of the articles in the Ring of Honor and give your prediction of when it was going to get done, and you were really freaking close. And
I said Thursday, and it wasn't quite Thursday.
Yeah, pretty freaking close though. And I couldn't have agreed with you more on your position, the way that you were talking about it, because we've been through this how many times now, right? And holy cow, just look at the way the media did the whole Aaron Rodgers thing just a minute ago, right? Like the last reports you heard, he's retired, it's over, he's never played another down for the Packers, and like 2 days later, he's in the building giving a presser.
Yeah.
Like, this is what they do. I think we've all, this is the final piece of proof, the final nail in the coffin that we can point to and say, yes, the media is just full of catfish. They're full of it. You can't believe anything that they say, especially in the sports media. They just make this crap up. They just make it up.
No, it's not made up, though. It comes from somewhere, and it comes from
their own little pea brains.
Well, it comes from either side. They have agents on one side tell them one thing from the player's perspective, that they have a message that they want to get out, and these reporters are the vehicle to do it. And if they want to keep those relationships for when there is an actual signing, so they can break the news 15 minutes before everybody else gets it, they do these types of things so they can keep those relationships going. And it happens on the team side too. Yeah, I mean, anything you hear from John Clayton, I swear it's coming straight from the Seahawks front office through John Clayton. He reports it, and you can just take that as the Seahawks team position most of the time. So you can start to get a sense of where the information comes from, who it comes through, and then when it comes out, you get a sense for when things are about to happen.
Well, then these quote unquote journalists need to do a much better job with this. So let's say
they're
you're
extensions of PR people.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say you're John Clayton, right? And the team, other John calls you and is like, John. He's like, hello, John. This is John. He's like, hey, John, good to talk to you. hey, since we're both Johns, I was thinking that I wanted you to talk about our position regarding Jamal Adams, and it's this, and this. And, reporter John should be like, okay, GM John, got your point. Thanks. Click. And then sits down to write his article. And the article should go something like this. Internal sources among the Seahawks say, boop-a-doop-a-doo, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
But let's be real. That's not going to happen. And that's a bunch of crap. Like, if they want to keep any of their integrity, like, they should at least do that instead of just go full mouthpiece and just tote the line, whether that's from the agent or the team or whatever. And you say, well, it's so that they can all get access to, be the guy who breaks it 15 minutes earlier than everybody else. Who freaking cares? Have you opened up your Bleacher Report team stream anytime soon? Like the Twitter part of it? I mean, it's just 15 tweets about the same thing, saying the same exact thing, just in a different way, all in a row. Like, what value is there in giving up your integrity to be able to do that? So you can be one of the 14 other dudes that tweet the same thing within 3 minutes of one another. It's catfishing stupid.
There is value in the reporting side. But there's so many people that are trying to be first now. I think it does water it down a little bit. And so there's probably more value on the analysis side now, and maybe it'll balance out at some point, but maybe that's just where we're at on the pendulum. But, I think we're getting way too in the weeds here. I want to talk about Jamal Adams being a member of the Seahawks.
Sure. Yeah. 5 more years, baby. Here we go.
5 more years. It's a relatively good deal, I think, for both sides, because Jamal, he gets his long-term deal and he gets that security that goes along with it. And yes, he's the top paid safety. It's a fair deal. The Seahawks actually get an additional $5 million of salary cap relief this year. I think his cap hit next year is under $10 million, bounces up to an $18 million cap hit that third year. And then the final 2 years of the deal, when it's in the $23-24 million range, that's when the salary cap is going to be huge anyway. And you're going to see all kinds of defensive players making 20+ million a year.
Absolutely. Considering that, Adams is a little bit more than just a safety, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's an edge rusher. He's a linebacker. He's a corner. Like, he can do a little bit of everything. Right? And I find it hilarious, too, that there's reporters and pundits out there like, oh, Seahawks made a big mistake here. You can't pay a box safety that. Where were these guys when the Steelers were inking Palomalu to huge contracts, right?
Right.
He's a unique player. I mean, he's not just a safety. And on top of that, I think safety has become, in my opinion, one of the premium positions on the football field. And I've been saying that for probably about a year and a half now.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to be based on how your defense is structured. And you have to have the right guy. And there's not very many players like Jamal. So you do have to pay a premium for that.
Absolutely. Considering his age as well. I mean, we're not talking like he just turned 30 or something. And
the fact that you gave up 2 first-round picks to get him. I mean, they were kind of in the point where they had to pay the guy a lot for that.
Yeah. I mean, clearly when you trade 2 first-round picks, you're like, okay, when the deal comes up, we're probably going to make him the highest paid guy. If he comes into our program and is like all in.
I think the precedent is there. And the only question in terms of how that situation's managed, and I don't know why we don't see more teams doing this. The Rams didn't do it. You didn't see it with the Texans and Tunsil. If you're giving up 2 first-round picks, how do you not just negotiate the contract right then and there? Because it's going to be expensive, and maybe the player just doesn't. They want the trade to get done, and they want to get paid the big payday a year later rather than right up front when they make the trade. But I feel like the team is in prime negotiating power when a player wants out to say, okay, highest paid and multi-year deal. And if you're going to give that up, why not? Why not do it then?
Yeah, you would wonder that. I think my guess would be is that if you're the player and you're somebody of Jamal Adams' caliber, you look at it and you go, well, I could bet on myself this year. And what do salaries do every single year?
Yeah, they go up every single year.
They go up every single year. So why wouldn't you wait the one more year and get a bigger bag?
Yeah.
I mean, there's there's risk to that. There's no doubt about it. But that must be, I'm going to guess that must be the reason, because I can't imagine one GM being like, yeah, here's a couple first rounders, and you bring dude in, you'd be like, and player would be like, hey, can we talk about a contract? You're like, nah, we'll wait till next year.
I don't know, because we saw it with Xavier Howard in Miami. He signs a 6-year deal, and 2 years into the deal, he's like, well, this doesn't seem all that fair to the deal I got, and I need more now. And then they end up working out a deal because he's threatening to walk out. So yeah. I think for players, it's trending toward the area to where a deal is negotiable anytime, just as it has been for the teams, for them to be able to cut a player at any time. And, you know, once your guaranteed money's up and we decide to get rid of you, okay, you're gone.
Yeah. It's hard to blame them in that circumstance, you know, but yeah, it's interesting. Having Jamal on the team for, the foreseeable future, that is a huge boost for the Seahawks. He's a dynamic player. He's a leader on the defense. And, he's one of the guys you can point to on that defense where you have an absolute bona fide all-star on every level of the defense, or maybe not on defensive line at this point, but there's potential for that depending on how some of these pass rushers shape out this year. But having Bobby in the middle and Jamal in the rear end of that defense, man, like that's tough to beat.
I do like how it's setting up. And one guy you didn't mention, Quandre Diggs, who also is interested in having a contract extension going into his final year. We saw him in the NFL Top 100 right next to his teammate Tyler Lockett. And that's a guy, along with Dwayne Brown, that I think are asking for. I think Dwayne is probably a little more in the news about it. And with Diggs, I feel like he's been doing all the right things, being at practice. And so I kind of hope they reward him for that part of it, because he's been outstanding ever since they traded for him.
Well, it's funny too, because you saw everybody up in arms here over the last couple of weeks. Oh, the Seahawks are lowballing Dwayne Brown. They're screwing around with Dwayne Brown. What are they doing with Dwayne Brown? Oh my gosh, the stupid Seahawks. Look at them. Like they're mistreating an offensive lineman once again. How can they do such a thing? Well, they had other deals that needed to get done. Things go in an order, right? When you're trying to figure out how much money you're going to have and be able to pay people, like they had to sign Jamal first. That before they knew what they were going to have going forward, to then go, okay, Dwayne, here we go. And then, okay, Q, here we go. Like it's an order of things. So the next will be Dwayne Brown. And then if they do have interest in extending Quandre Diggs, then he'll be last in that pecking order. And the players know that too.
And I don't think with getting a deal for Dwayne Brown done, I think there's a way to do that and actually still get some salary cap relief. Probably with Quandre, they maybe did need to make a little bit of space to make that happen. And you heard from Jamal Adams in his press conference that, yeah, he absolutely wants Diggs. I mean, all these guys are gonna. We saw Russ out there talking about how Dwayne and how important he is and how he needs to get paid. Now, I thought it was interesting just how the media blew it up and tried to say that, Russ was sending a message to management saying that Dwayne needed to get paid. I think he's just standing up for his offensive lineman because that's a dude who protects him. And we just went through this whole offseason of Russ being in the news of having questions about his offensive lineman. This is a way for him to get back in and say, yeah, Dwayne's my guy. And we all know Dwayne's the guy. He was the most consistent player on offense for the entire season last season. And even though he's going into 36 years old, 35 years old, I still trust that he can get the job done.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be a little column A, a little column B. Like it can be a little of Russ sending
a message, a little bit of message,
a tiny message. Like just like, guys, come on now. Like, can we do this? But mainly it is your quarterback standing up for obviously one of the guys he needs to keep the happiest. Of course, he's going to say everything that he can to get Dwayne another paycheck. And it's clear Russ wants to play with him again. I mean, duh. It's not like he's ready to move on to Stone Forsythe or whoever.
No, especially after watching the Raiders game this past weekend.
Yeah, the Struggle Fest was there a little bit.
Yeah, this was his first game, but it made me happy that Russ wasn't out there behind that offensive line.
Yeah, no kidding. But I think Dwayne will get paid here shortly or restructured in some way. It doesn't. It just makes too much sense because, like you said, I think that can free up a little bit more cap room as well. And then they can do something like pay Quandre, or they can, make that trade that we've all been kind of waiting for maybe some DB or something along those lines. It's going to be interesting to see. This was the first domino that needed to fall during this part of the offseason for the rest of it to kind of sort itself out. So I would expect things to happen relatively quickly going forward.
Yeah, maybe some money for a free agent. I know KJ Wright still, it's crazy to me that KJ Wright is still out there not signed. Now, maybe he's asking for a contract that's what he's worth. and so there's teams that are hesitating at that, but man, he should hold out for what he's worth, especially when, gosh, he was also in the top 100 here recently, just ahead of Tyler and Quandre.
There you go. No, I could see, a KJ reunion still in the future. That's definitely a possibility.
I think it's a possibility, but I do think that it's more and more unlikely. Unless there's an injury of some kind, I feel like, and maybe they want to see, what they get from these guys in the preseason. And we saw a lot of Darrell Taylor out there against the Raiders, and we even saw some Jordan Brooks out there against the Raiders. Jordan Brooks was the only starter who played snaps. I'm not even talking meaningful snaps. Like the only starter that I saw out there that was playing snaps.
Yeah, that was one of the more forgettable preseason games I've ever seen. And I don't know if there's much of a takeaway from that other than obviously our first two quarterbacks didn't take one snap. Whether that was Russell Wilson or injured Russell Wilson, number one and number two on the depth chart. But our third stringer got blowed the hell up because there was some miscommunication up front. And that could have been Geno making the wrong line call too. You just never really know.
You don't know. It looked like Forsyth was awfully aggressive on getting to that linebacker who was lined up, just over the guard rather than paying attention to the possibility that corner could come in on a blitz. But yeah,
that could be the way that Geno had the protection called.
It could be.
We don't know.
It could be.
Yeah.
Maybe he was confused by the new numbers and that there was a 44 lining up as defensive end, and it threw everything off.
No, that's definitely it. Yeah. Guys will never adapt to that.
That was one of the plays that stood out. The fact that Nathan Peterman went 29 of 39 and they ran the ball with just relative ease the entire day. That was a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. To feel like you got dominated a little bit by a Tom Cable offensive line, that was a little demoralizing.
A little bit demoralizing. Yeah.
But again, you're not seeing, you're seeing 2s and 3s and 4s and like it's vanilla scheme. And they're probably calling a game in order to get guys in certain matchups to see how they fare. We just don't know what it is they're trying to analyze. Because I heard more people wringing their hands about the offense, right? Like, oh, geez, the offense was a dumpster fire. And it was like, yeah.
Well, it's Geno and a bunch of backup offensive linemen.
Sure. I just don't know what I'm supposed to take.
Is Lundblade even going to make the team at center?
Yeah. So there's just not a lot to glean from it. I knew we were going to have to talk about it, right? Because, it's the first football of 2021 Seahawks football, right? But boy, it
was easy to tune out after too long. I tell you that.
Yeah.
There was some excitement, at least. The Seahawks going for it on 4th and 4, and Alex McGough tossing it up to DJ Dallas. He makes a nice little nifty move to stay in bounds on the sideline, takes it in for the touchdown, and so that was cool to see. And they did it on 4th down.
Yeah, clutchy. So I guess it's safe to say that our quarterbacks that are 3 through wherever on the depth chart are all terrible. Like Mannion's terrible. Magoo's terrible. Geno, he's a human pinball machine.
I couldn't evaluate Mannion because by the time he was in there, I think I had completely tuned out.
Yeah, he was terrible because he's always been terrible and he'll continue to be terrible.
He completed more passes than any quarterback for the Seahawks against the Raiders' 4th stringers.
Well, wonderful for Sean Mannion. Like I hope that I don't have to remember that he's on this football team for much longer.
I think we are probably going to get to see some extended Alex McGough action, though, here this weekend, because whether we see Russ for a series or not, I hope that's dependent on whether or not they can put out a competent left tackle for a series and they just, hammer the rock for a few straight plays.
Yeah.
And then, we could see a lot of McGough. I don't think Geno's going to be back and ready for this game. So, McGough and Mannion for a lot of this game against the Broncos.
Yeah, you probably will see a lot of that. Now, there was a fake Twitter account talking about Russ not wanting to play a preseason game if Dwayne's not there. While it's a fake Twitter account, I kind of agree with it. Like, let's just go with that. I think that
don't just say a fake Twitter account. It was Brady Henderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brady Henderson and Cornbread.
Who are these people and where do they come up with these names and why? Just stop it.
I don't know, but I feel like we got to have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah, Cornbread Smith, because it was Corbin Smith. Cornbread.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So I guess we have to come up with a baked good fake name for every Seahawks pundit out there. Is that what we're doing now?
Mine's easy. I can be Bread Ann.
Oh, you could be Bread Ann. Yeah. I would like to come up with something that I think a little more unique for you. I mean, I don't know. I don't need a nickname because I did sign that $72 million extension, so I'm good. I can buy one if I need one. So we'll see.
Yeah, you can actually pay somebody to tweet out for you now.
Right. Yo, good. Yeah, we'll do that.
Anything else you're looking for with this Denver game coming up? The one thing I guess I was most disappointed by with the Raiders was the defensive line and the linebackers, them just unable to stop the run. I guess I already mentioned that, but when you have Poona Ford and Al Woods back in there, that's going to shore up that middle of the defense better than what you have with your backups with Monet and LJ Collier potentially. Alton Robinson, I thought he had some nice plays. Rasheem Green had some nice plays in that game. And unfortunately, they just, on third down, they just could not get the offense off the field.
Yeah. I mean, that was basically the whole story of the first half of last season, wasn't it? It's like, oh no, was the second half a mirage? I mean, you start thinking about all that stuff, right?
I think that's why people were so disappointed with the outcome of this first preseason game, because it did bring back so much of what we remembered from the defense, even though it was all second string dudes except for Jordan Brooks. And I mean, I guess Rasheem Green and Robinson, you do associate them with playing significant time, but they're not the starting guys.
No, they're rotational players. So I take absolutely nothing from it. And looking at this next game with the Broncos, I mean, if we do see a few more of the starters playing, especially up in the trenches, I'd like to see that we're a little more dominant in those areas than we were in that first game. But even then, I mean, as long as everybody gets out relatively healthy against the Broncos, I'm happy. The third preseason game, now I think that's probably when you're going to be able to make a little bit, or just have a flavor of like what's coming, right?
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, because now the third preseason game is the last preseason game.
Yeah.
And so often the last preseason game, nobody plays.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it. It is uncharted territory that way. Maybe the most interesting thing to watch in this Broncos preseason matchup will be the Broncos QB battle. I mean, both Locke and Bridgewater had nice outings in game one of the year.
Okay, well, I don't care about that matchup, but it might be the most interesting.
I'm always interested in quarterbacks, just seeing if kind of what you think of them is what they are.
I think the rookie quarterbacks, for the most part, had some pretty good showings. We saw quite a bit of action from Justin Fields. I thought Mac Jones, I liked what I saw of the little bit of the Patriots game I watched. And then how could you miss over and over the one throw from Trey Lance to get over the top of the defense for the 80-yard touchdown. I mean, that was you never stopped hearing about that from 49ers fans.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's the next Joe Montana, Steve Young, all rolled into one based off of that one throw.
Not to mention he went 5 for 14 and only threw for 30, 40 more yards apart from that 80-yard pass. But
yeah, had some accuracy issues past that one throw. I know people have questioned my evaluation of his accuracy struggles, but the proof will be in the pudding as he goes forward. And this is just one game that you can point at, but I was right.
It is really early to evaluate any of these guys, and they are going against second stringers primarily, or maybe even third stringers in some cases. But it was a heck of a throw, though. I mean, that is something that you probably don't see a lot of coming from Jimmy G. So I can see why Niners fans would be excited.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. I think all the rookie quarterbacks were fine. I don't know that anybody really shined. It will be just interesting to continue to watch them grow and move forward. And because a lot of people coming out of that last week, you'd say Trevor Lawrence might be the suckiest of all of them, right? After his and it's like, well, I mean, let's just hold on, guys. Relax.
Relax a little bit.
Yeah. You really aren't going to be able to say a lot about teams and even these, rookie quarterbacks or whoever, or anything about football. So about week 6 or 7 of the regular season, like there's so much variability, and everybody's learning each other again for the new year, right? And catching up with wrinkles and all of that stuff that you really don't see kind of more or less what a team's about till somewhere in there.
Yeah, well, even with Russ going back to his rookie season, I mean, we saw the glimpses, but it wasn't until that week against Chicago where it was like a statement game, and you knew that this is our future quarterback.
Oh yeah, and no, it was interesting in that regard. But you did see Russell week 1 against the Cardinals, like dang near win that game.
Oh, I mean, except for Braylon Edwards dropping the ball in the end zone, they would have had that game.
Right. So yeah, but again, it's all early. Other news in Seahawks land that I found to be interesting. Hearing that Dwayne Eskridge was back at practice, that was heartening. I'm really excited to see him play. It sounds like it's not going to be till possibly the last preseason game or week 1, but knowing that he's kind of back in the fold and everything, that's pretty cool. And
they just had to get him an old man shoe, and apparently that fixed everything.
Is that how it worked?
I don't know. They said that they had used some kind of special orthotic in his shoe so to cause him less pain. So I'm just taking it to mean that it was some kind of, he has old man toes or something.
Apparently. Maybe he has Doug Baldwin toes.
I hope not.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They seem to work pretty good for Doug.
They did work pretty well for Doug for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't like his toes drove him out of the league, Brandon.
I don't know what Baldwin's toes are like now, though. I thought you were evaluating Eskridge to Baldwin's toes today, and I don't have a good read on that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I meant more like at similar points in their career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I do hope for that then.
Yeah, early angry Doug. Also, apparently, good news about Parkinson. Not as bad as originally feared, supposedly.
Yeah, he may not have to go on the injury report for the inactive list for the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, because it sounded like he had been having some real positive moments. And I was looking forward to eating my words when it came to Parkinson. I mean, I was not excited about that draft pick at all. And look, man, if he can prove me wrong, I will be just, thrilled about it.
Well, you have to hope that there is at least going to be a tight end that can show up at some point, because with the primary guys not playing, we saw some struggles at depth at tight end in the Raiders game. And I don't want that once the regular season rolls around. So if Colby can be the number 3 guy, and if he can be the guy that we've heard some whispers from in practice of being a favorite target of Russ, then yeah, we need that.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Although I do feel pretty comfortable going into the season with, Everett and Disley. It's not a terrible tandem at all. Good to hear that Tyler is close to full strength. Sounds like they're just being super, super duper cautious.
Yeah.
And so that's cool.
It was cool to see Darrell Taylor out there after not having him at all. Now, I don't think he had any standout moments, but the fact that he was on the field and he was even taking some double teams at some points in the game against the Raiders. So we'll get to see more of him against the Broncos. And yeah, I'm excited to see him and some of these other guys who've just been waiting to pop. And now they have their opportunity, at least in the preseason. I'd put Rashad Penny on that list. He was out of the mock game, out of the game against the Raiders, and sounds like he was back in practice this week too. So yeah, maybe we'll see a little Penny against the Broncos.
Here's hoping. I mean, I wouldn't bet one penny on it, but hey, if he does make it, that's great. Another disappointing piece of news, just hearing that Marquise Blair is hurting again. Sounds like a knee thing. And Pete's like, oh, it's not structural or anything. It's just pain in his kneecap. Just pain in his kneecap. That sounds great.
Maybe it's another one of those things like with Tyler, just being cautious.
I don't know. Because then he follows it up with, well, we just want to be real careful with him so it doesn't turn into like a chronic thing. And it's like, oh, so Marquise Blair has Todd Gurley knee. Like, that's what I'm getting out of that.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No. Because he's one of the guys this year coming into the season. I was excited to see, him come around and start flying and hitting and doing all the things that he was kind of touted as being, and show glimpses, when he's been in the game. So we'll see, I guess. I mean, hopefully it's not as serious as it sounds like it could be.
We do have Ryan Neal coming back. He had some nice plays. Ugo had some nice plays. I do feel like the depth that they have, either at safety if they're going to play more nickel, and whether that's a traditional nickel safety or if they go big nickel, if they have some flexibility there at least.
Oh, big time! And
as long as Marquise can stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Also sounded as if DJ Reed was close to coming back here. Maybe not for this game, but they're feeling pretty good about it next week, and that's a huge piece with the thin depth that we have at corner. Seemingly, I mean, Trey Brown was out there, did okay.
Yeah, right. I thought he showed out better in the kickoff return department than he did in the corner department. But Akello was okay. Saw him in on a couple of nice run stops because they weren't throwing the ball a whole lot.
Yeah.
Although they did throw one over the top of Flowers. But I don't think that was just a really good throw. I don't even put that big first down. I mean, it was frustrating because it was 3rd and long, and then they go right at Trey Flowers. But it put it in the perfect spot. So, yeah, I have a hard time giving Flowers too hard of a time.
Yeah, not on that one. He did give up a couple underneath that were frustrating that you've seen him do time and again. But
yeah. Well, a lot of it was coaching. Just, where they would need to convert a 3rd and 4, and they'd throw a 4-yard pass right at Flowers, and he's playing off coverage, and just essentially giving them the short throws, which is something that I think that's just. I don't know if that's a Flowers thing or a Pete Carroll defense thing. I kind of tend to lean that it's more of a Pete Carroll defense thing.
Maybe.
And maybe a little bit of a Flowers thing.
Man, if they don't play physical with the receivers again this year, like they did for much of the season last year, I will lose it. It is so frustrating to watch dudes just take free releases off the line.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Well, I saw a couple of those where our dudes were up on the line trying to be physical, and the Raiders receivers were just pushing dudes all over the place. I saw Ugo get pushed off the line. I saw one that probably should have been a offensive pass interference on Witherspoon. But again, just where the receivers were just being more physical than our corners.
Sure. And that can also be a result of not really hitting all through camp and all those things and just getting back used to the physicality of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a possibility. Again, week 1 preseason of a game that was not designed to showcase how this is going to function as a team. This is a
I
game.
I want to overreact and be reactionary over every little thing that happens in the preseason. Since the Seahawks stunk in week 1 of the preseason, I'm going to assume that they're going 5-12 for this season and missing the playoffs, having a losing record, and everybody's getting fired.
Well, hey, and the Niners will probably go undefeated, and Trey Lance will throw for 70 touchdowns, and they'll all be bombs of 60 yards or more.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's how it works.
You've got this figured out now.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was screwing it up.
So I guess the Arizona Cardinals, since we've got to do a preview show for them, they won their preseason game.
Who?
The Arizona Cardinals.
Who?
The leaders of the division in the preseason right now.
Arizona. That's a state, right? Arizona. It's like down south, but I don't think they have any Cardinals there.
No?
Like somebody seems confused. Is this a football team?
It's a football team with a really, I can't believe how terrible their field looked. For the first game of the NFL season, it looked like FedEx Field at the end of December after they played 16 games on it.
Well, you got to understand they're in extreme drought, and they built a city where there's no freaking water. Like, of course the field's going to look like doo-doo. And they roll that thing in and out of the stadium for like no reason, just because it seemed like a cool idea.
Well, can't you put it inside? If it's super hot outside, put it inside and, go ahead and water it outside. I don't know how the sprinkler system works necessarily down there, but
it doesn't.
Water
it doesn't. They're out of water, dude.
They're totally out. No more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an NFL team.
If you live in the Southwest, I'm begging you right now, get the hell out. That is an untenable situation, much like their Arizona Cardinals football team. Yeah, that's a real fun franchise down there. It's just interesting because I think finally the rest of the national media figured it out after they tried to crown the Cardinals for the last 2 years, because they were all excited about Pretty Boy Kingsbury and I don't know. I guess they all just love 5-yard outs. But that's again what we saw all year last year. It's what we're going to see again this year, despite the momentous additions of ancient JJ Watt and equally as ancient AJ Green.
They definitely went on the more ancient side. Now they do add a Pro Bowl center in Rodney Hudson. I was a little bit jealous of that. And I can't lie. I was even more jealous when I saw the centers that the Seahawks were rolling out in the preseason game. But yeah, I'd say that's their best addition of this offseason.
Sure. I just don't see where they got better in any way. I mean, I guess short of center. Zaven Collins, their draft pick in the first round at linebacker. I think he gives them some potential. He's also really good at going 40 miles an hour over the speed limit in places where he shouldn't be. Well, I remembered when they drafted the Simmons kid the year before, and he was an absolute game changer. And I don't recall seeing him all year.
I think, he intercepted the pass that ended the game that the Seahawks lost against the Cardinals, but
I don't recall that.
It's a good thing to black out from.
Yeah.
It's like
this
all
is
of
how
the
this know your rival stuff goes. Like, I remember the things that I think are important, and I eliminate all the stuff that doesn't match my narrative. I'm basically a cable TV talking head when I do these segments.
Like all the Chandler Jones sacks against Russell Wilson. None of those happened. I refuse to believe that Chandler Jones has the ability to sack the quarterback based on what he's done to Russ.
It's more based on what he does to the rest of the league, which is a whole lot of nothing. For whatever reason, he seems to get up for playing Russ, but maybe we won't have to deal with it this year. Isn't he pissed off and doesn't want to show up to camp because he's not being compensated for his quote unquote greatness?
Well, I think he is a little bit hurt that they brought in Watt, and instead of seeing that as a complimentary piece, he sees it as a threat.
Yeah. Look, if JJ Watt is even half the player that he was at his peak, he's going to help you get from those 7 sacks you get against one team per year and get you to 7.5 sacks with an extra half sack, somewhere else around the league. Like, cause he'll draw a double team maybe.
I had a Cardinals guy telling me that Patrick Peterson was washed up to the point that he believes that Malcolm Butler is better. That's an upgrade. They got better getting rid of Patrick Peterson and bringing in Malcolm Butler. It's
a sideways move. Old Patrick Peterson, or Maybe they just brought in Malcolm Butler just to like try to screw with us. I feel like that's all that was.
I absolutely feel like that's all that was. 2 times a year, they can rub it in our face, especially when we play down there. I'm not happy about it.
Look, I understand DK wasn't there to deal with whatever that was, the play that should not be talked about. But I want him to just melee Malcolm Butler a few times. just give him the what for. I really do. I want him to ragdoll the guy a few times, just for me.
Was it Alfred last year, or I'm trying to think of the corner that he just absolutely planted in the ground last season? And wasn't it Gilmore from the Patriots? Didn't he get the best of him pretty good? Yeah, that might have been one of the guys.
Yeah.
I want to see
that. He bullied him all over the field.
I want to see that with Malcolm Butler.
Yeah. I mean, you want to see it, or you're looking forward to seeing it when it happens?
I want to see it every single play. Just wide receiver screen to DK and line up Butler over and over and just let him have it. Yeah. Not that I still have feelings about that particular play so many years later, but
no,
Malcolm Butler needs to pay for what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows what he did. But yeah, for a team that has precisely two good players on it, whether that's D-Hop or Budda Baker, like, neat. Good luck this year.
I like Rondale Moore. They got their 2nd round pick. He was one of the guys I would have been interested in the Seahawks drafting. It was a guy that John Schneider actually called out as one of the players that they were interested in even after the draft. But they've been generally pretty bad about drafting wide receivers. I mean, they took Andy Isabella over DK Metcalf a couple years back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've struggled in the drafting receivers for sure. They've drafted a couple in recent years, and none of them have really panned out. Yeah, Steve Keim is just not a good general manager. Then you pair him with Cliff Kingsbury, who hasn't been a good coach anywhere he's been. And then, pair that with a quarterback that the only time he throws it downfield is when he just like hucks it to D-Hop and is like, he's down there somewhere. He'll bail me out. Like, I just don't see him going anywhere.
Their best running back is Chase Edmonds and washed up James Conner.
And they won't use either of those guys.
No?
They never do.
They just have Kyler run around a little bit?
They just spread everybody out, have Kyler run around. And sure, like he can run. I mean, he's pretty fast. That's nice.
I do like Chase Edmonds as a pass catcher better than a running back, though.
I guess.
Why do I keep saying nice things? This is the Know Your Rival show.
Right. Exactly.
I keep having to talk myself out of saying nice things about the team sometimes.
Yeah. You just need to crap on the cards. Is that so hard?
It shouldn't be.
Can you do that, please? Yeah. I feel like I'm the one taking all the shots.
Budda Baker's no good.
Okay.
That was the best I could do.
He's the only guy. He's one of the 2 good players on the team.
I had to call out somebody who's actually good as not being good. Let me have that.
Yeah. Well, you could have got a little better. You could be like Budda Baker's slow.
Well, he is slow. I mean, he got run down from behind by DK Metcalf.
I didn't need to bring it up. I just figured it would conjure the image to your mind.
Every time I think of Budda Baker now, I think of that image. I wonder if Budda Baker goes to sleep dreaming of that image.
Oh, absolutely. Well, maybe not goes to sleep, but it wakes up from sleep to that image, like as a nightmare. Because I'm pretty sure in his nightmare, DK has a bear head when he's coming after him. Just, yeah.
I hope so.
I think so. Look, we take the Cardinals less seriously when we're talking about this Know Your Rival stuff, because, I mean, in all seriousness, out of all the teams in the NFC West, they're easily the one you fear the least, right? Like, it's not even close.
We talked about it 3 shows ago. It is the most overrated team in the NFC, not just the division, the most overrated team in the NFC.
Even over the Cowboys?
See, I think the Cowboys get extra points because they're such a public team that the overratedness, it kind of grows with the team.
Sure.
But if you're going to measure it based on their actual talent level, I'd say the Cowboys actually have a little bit of talent.
Dak Shoulder might disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't put a lot of eyeballs on Dak's shoulder in the preseason.
Yeah, it's like he's had a couple MRIs already, dude.
Telling you, I've not followed the shoulder situation in Dallas, okay?
Well, I mean, because they're so overrated, I don't know how you haven't.
Try to avoid Cowboys news as much as possible.
Hey, I think that's a good life decision. I really do. And I recommend that for everybody. I know Tim Moon down in Texas will agree. That's for sure.
All of our flockers in Texas agree.
Oh, yeah. All of them, dude. Yeah.
What do you say we get to the second half of the show?
Oh, sure. I don't have any more catfish talk for the Cardinals anyways, other than you suck.
As we get here into the second half of the show, we talked about how much the Cardinals suck in the first half. And here's Pro Football Focus disagreeing with the suckiness factor of the Cardinals defensive line. They have the Cardinals defensive line rated at number 12 in the NFL. They got the Rams at number 4. Hard to argue. They got a top 5 defensive line just based on having Aaron Donald. Like, he could just be out there with 3 scrubs and they'd be top 5.
Yeah, at least top 10.
You got the 49ers at number 9. And they got some dudes. And then
that's fair. Bosa's an animal.
Yeah. And then they got the Cardinals at number 12. And then all the way down, keep scrolling. Where are the Seahawks? Seahawks at number 29.
Yikes. That doesn't feel right, but after that preseason game, it's hard to argue.
It is hard to argue. But on the last show, you said the Seahawks could rank 1A, 1B, 1C within the division with the Rams and the 49ers. And it may be A, B, and C. It's the Rams, 49ers, and Cardinals.
Well, Pro Football Focus has been called out a lot, it seems like, over the last week or two about some of their rankings and stuff. And it's so funny because some of the, they're always touting, well, we watch every play of every player and evaluate and all of that. And, that's probably true. I don't think they're lying about it. I just wonder, their evaluation process must be flawed along the way. They still haven't nailed it. Let's put it that way. Because there's things that they come out with where you're just like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I watch football and I can tell you that's wrong.
Well, the fact that they ranked center Brad Lundblade as the Seahawks' best player against the Raiders. I don't know if I guess the times where I noticed him were the times where he was getting thrown around, and maybe that was only 1 or 2 times. And that's why he didn't get graded as 100. But, they have Stone Forsythe ranked above average. So, maybe they agreed with your assessment that Geno called the wrong protection and he was just doing what he was supposed to. That was a guess.
That wasn't an assessment. I was just like, we just don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But, that's why I think that's what makes what PFF does difficult and why they do take a lot of heat, because that you do have to guess in a lot of these situations. So there is guesswork that goes into it. And it's good information in terms of being able to, I don't know, when it's compiled, it's generally pretty decent, but nobody's going to be perfect.
No, it's just sometimes they have some big misses. Now, I do think it's interesting. I think this is the first offseason that we've gone through where we haven't had to focus on lists hardly at all.
Just because I think we've made it known in the offseason that lists are not something that we poke fun at them from time to time, but it's not the sole offseason content that we want to focus on.
No, lists are for losers. We know that.
Yeah. Lazy losers.
Exactly. Lists are for lazy losers. There you go. Was that onomatopoeia? Isn't that the word?
Alliteration.
Alliteration. Fine. Whatever. It's one of those.
What do you say we welcome some of our fabulous flockers?
That's the best part of my day right now. And look, they better be a lot of them considering my pay raise. Like, we're gonna have to cover this.
We need it to afford Adam to be able to continue this show. And so thanks to our executive producers, DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, Kevin Watterson, Jake Burdine, and Christopher Hart. And as I mentioned, we have some new members of the flock. And, I want to give executive producer credit to the people who also are coming in with annual donations now to start off this year. So let's start off. Glenn Travis came in at an annual pledge, $145.44.
Dude.
So welcome to the flock to Glenn.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that.
Or Glenn may be back. We had a couple of folks who are back after the off season. So yes, welcome back. Dan Nicholson, came in $175 for the annual donation. Welcome to the flock to Dan.
Dan's a one-upper.
Heck yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, 145, hold my beer, watch this.
And Johanna Herbst came in at $145.44. Welcome to the flock to Johanna.
Johanna, that's awesome. So see, she plays fair. She's like, yeah, I don't want to make anybody look bad. 145 seems good. And, didn't want to make anybody look bad.
No. Devontae Maltos came in at $12.12 for the month. Welcome to the flock, Devontae.
Hey, heck yeah, Devontae. You got in just in time to the Ring of Honor. This is when it starts to get real fun. There's no doubt about it.
I've sent out some Ring of Honor invites. I need to check to make sure that they've come through. So check when you do submit via getintheflock.com and check your messages. Make sure, because I do give instructions on how to get in the Ring of Honor. Getting in the Discord is a little bit easier, and that's open not just to 1212, but I think at all levels. $3 and above gets you into the Discord where we do our game day chat, and we did a little bit of that on this last Saturday. Well, you didn't, but I did, along with a couple other people. So that was fun.
Yeah. No, I was outside. I watched the game later.
It wasn't I had to go through a stream through the Seahawks Nest Discord just so I could watch the game live.
Wow, I didn't realize it was going to be that bad. I know it is a challenge to get those games. There's no
preseason can be challenging.
Yeah.
Mitchell Jackstadt is back. Welcome back to Mitchell.
Heck yeah, man. It's always good to have Mitchell back.
And Josh Height in at $5 a month. Welcome to the flock to Josh.
Heck yeah, welcome to the flock, man. He's going to be in the pick'ems, dude. That's going to be fun.
Get in the pick'em. It is Seahawkers podcast. Well, I'll put it in the show notes. I think it's seahawkerspodcast.com/pick'em-league. And if you've registered last year, it's supposed to just carry over. And I've heard, yes, because people have said they've already put in their picks. They put in their picks for week 1 because we got the Steve Largent and Kenny Easley signed full-size Seahawks helmet. I did share I shared video of it in the Ring of Honor. I need to find a way so more people can see that. I should put it up on our Seahawkers Podcast Facebook page or on at Seahawkers Pod on Twitter.
Right. And for those of you who are new to the Pick'em League, I hope you understand the rules that you have to come up with a creative team name. You can't just be you. You got to come up with a good one.
There's 2 big rules. Creative team name is 1, and you may never ever pick against the Seahawks.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why you would anyways. It's bad for your Hakra. Don't do that. But every year, it seems like we have to scold somebody.
I know. Yeah. And I keep saying you risk automatic disqualification. I can go in there and I can change your picks. So I have that ability. So if you select the wrong one, I can adjust your Hakra for you and pick accordingly. So just do the right thing. Don't make any extra work for me. Pick the Seahawks, whoever they're playing every single week. I do not care the circumstances.
That's right. So what you should get out of this is never challenge the power of the Schultz. Right. Just don't do it.
Or I will use the Schultz.
That's right.
Juice came in at $12.12 a month. Welcome to the flock to Juice.
Heck yeah. Which juice though? Like, is it apple juice? Is it daddy juice?
Maybe it's juice as in, OJ.
Oh, maybe. You think? I don't think so though.
You don't think he's a Hawks fan?
Nah. But he needs a few prizes to sell to continue his lifestyle. Who knows?
Either way, we will
maybe
welcome.
Juice. Maybe Juice is bringing the energy. Juice.
Yeah, Juice. I like it. We did do the drawing for the tiny piece of Seahawks stuff last show, but I didn't announce it. Oh. And so I think I should do that this time.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So congratulations to Cameron Cole, the winner for July, and the Russell Wilson Pro Bowl Elite card with player-worn material in the card. And so now it's going to be a short turnaround time for the card for the month of August. You can go to tinypiecesofseahawkstuff.com. And for this month, we're doing a Chris Carson tiny piece of Seahawks stuff. See, you can, if I hold it up close enough to the camera, Adam, you can see that you got the blue from the number, and then the green of the outline. This is a really nice piece of Seahawks stuff. And the card's number 25 of 49 for Chris Carson.
Heck yeah. Out of all of your tiny pieces of Seahawks stuff so far, that is one of the more interesting tiny pieces that you've come up with.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Your tiny pieces game is on point.
I'm ramping up for the season.
There we go. Yeah. Just don't peak too early, man. End of the year is when you want to be hitting your stride.
So I need to outdo this tiny piece every single month is what you're saying?
No, I mean, it's not we've talked about this forever. It's not a steady incline all the way up to awesomeness.
Okay.
Like you can have some dips in there. I'm just saying, Yeah. By the end of the year is when you should come up with the best ones. So.
Okay. That is my plan. I can do that.
Yeah.
Our executive producer, Christopher Hart, comes in with a tip for everybody. Says, man, when the NFL season rolls around, I pay Fubo TV $75 a month for HD NFL broadcast games, Red Zone, and cloud access. It's great. I can watch a game live on the road, pause it, get home, load it up on my TV, load a second screen with Red Zone. If the NFL would offer an all-in-one package like this that would allow for choice of announcers or even better, a professional podcast feed, take my money, NFL.
Oh, yeah. For as greedy as the NFL is, like they still haven't figured this out. They're going to try it a little bit with the Eli Payton thing, right, for Monday Night Football and have them be an alternate broadcast pair. I'm hoping that the NFL gets to that point because that might be something that you and I could do where maybe I could actually earn a portion of that $72 million and not have to work in the sawmills. Like, I feel like that would be a step in that direction for us. So at a selfish level, I want that. But yeah, Christopher's right, man. Like, I don't understand why it's so damn hard to just be able to watch whatever game you want to watch wherever you are when it's on. Like, you can name the price.
And they seem to have it worked out pretty well for some of the overseas people. The way that they have the NFL Game Pass structured overseas is different than they have it structured in the US. So I don't know why we can't all get the same stuff. I am interested in more people's experience. If this is, I know Christopher's in the Seattle area. So if you're outside the Seattle area, does the Fubo TV, does that work the same way? Because I know there's so many people, I get the same question about this time every year is what is the best way being outside the area to watch Seahawks football on a consistent basis? And yeah, it comes up every single time. And I know that it doesn't work for everybody to get Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. Like there has to be other ways.
Yeah. So I did try the Fubo last year. I think it was before the internet was upgraded out here, but it did not work for me. It required more bandwidth than I had at that time. Yeah. But the YouTube TV works really well for me. And then you combine that with the Sunday Ticket. And then you always have your kind of randos if they end up on Amazon or whatever and that sort of thing. But the combination of those two things usually gets me there.
Yeah, it can be a little bit spendy, but if you've cut the cord, then maybe you're saving on that a little bit.
A little bit
for the rest of the year.
But again, the money part of it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it's like Christopher said, take my money.
Yeah. I want my NFL football.
Yeah.
Greatest Sean list continues at Mr. Anderson _93 on Twitter. Says, random piece of info that I don't think you guys saw yet, or you may have mentioned it on the show. When you brought up Sean Bradley, it reminded me that this happened, and pointed out that Sean Bradley got paralyzed in a cycling accident back in March.
Right.
And so, Yes, I feel like crap for what I said, that nobody cares about Sean Bradley. Because
you jerk.
Now yeah, well, and I appreciate Mr. Anderson saying that I probably didn't realize that. And yes, I did not realize that, or else I would not have made a joke at Sean's expense.
Yeah, exactly. You can't pick on a man while he's sitting still. Like that's not
cool.
That's not cool.
Christopher Rolfe at Beast Mode 24 replaced the A with a number 4, and he says, "And you missed," puts in parentheses Mar, Sean Lynch twice. Clearly number 1. Hashtag best Sean.
That's a clever workaround. It is. And I don't know that I can disagree because Sean is in there.
Yeah.
It's just a fancier Sean. Plus, he's awesome.
I think he's clearly the best Sean.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Even if you do the minor deduction with the Mar, like, still the best.
I think that's an additive. I think it makes it a fancier Sean, Marshawn, rather than just Sean.
That's a
Sean's
good point.
Boring. Yeah.
Got a message from Saban from the flock. Said, couldn't help but notice in Shane Waldron's interview today when addressing what having an RB-friendly offense means, he says, a lot of guys had a lot of great reps already. From Chris, fumble for name, DJ, fumble for name, Penny. Does DJ's mind coming to first maybe indicate that he has outperformed Penny so far this offseason? Just a random thought that came to mind while listening to the interview that I thought I'd share. Keep up the good work. Go Hawks.
Well, right now, it's not hard to outperform Penny just because he hasn't been healthy.
Yeah.
So just by, default, DJ probably has stuck in Waldy's mind a little bit more.
Just a little bit more, even though he had a fumble for the next guy after Chris Carson.
Right. So, don't get hurt this year, Chris.
I'm ready for Dallas to make a step up.
Yeah?
I think he looked a little bit more shifty against the Raiders backups.
Sure. Maybe.
I mean, not Terrell Davis level, but like we've been led to believe.
Yeah. Well, let's. That was Homer. Who was going to be the next TD?
Oh, I thought it was Dallas.
No, it was Homer.
No, I don't believe it with Homer.
Okay. I remember it. It was Homer, but you can believe whatever you want.
I'm saying that's a moronic take to compare Travis Homer to Terrell Davis. Like at least DJ
that's
Dallas
why it was so absurd.
Is built somewhat similarly.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason Harding comes in and says, hey guys, we need a deep dive on Larry Izzo. I remember when this guy was a rookie for Jimmy Johnson. I'm sure he was the first one to make the team over Dan Marino, no less. Blame Canada, go Hawks. Yeah, Larry Izzo would get special teams coordinator love on the show.
Absolutely. All he has to do is come on the show. I'll talk all about Larry Izzo for an entire show.
There we go. Come on the show, Larry. Talk special teams. Speaking of special teams, could you believe that our kicker missed a field goal?
Yeah. There's that one. So I guess we're good for the rest of the year now.
I'm glad he got it out of the way.
System now.
Got it out of the way in the preseason.
Yeah.
Taylor comes in via the website. You can follow him on Twitter at Taylor_Fowers. Says, hey guys, love the pod. And just had one little factoid I wanted to point out. On the 49ers Know Your Rival episode last week, Adam suggested changing the name of the series to Catfish Them. The series is currently called Know Your Rivals, which in a biblical sense means the exact same thing, sort of.
That's pretty solid. Yeah. That's pretty solid. I like that.
Know your rivals.
Yeah. Because I think just Catfish Them like denotes that you might just like beat them up or something or like, screw them over. Whereas biblically knowing the 49ers might be a little more of an intimate situation that I'm prepared for.
I think the only conclusion.
Plus, you thought Brittany got mad about trying to hire a hot Asian intern. Yeah, just think of how mad she'd be if I was flirting with an entire franchise.
That reminds me, I heard, I actually heard somebody pronounce Bay Area the way that you pronounce Bay Area.
Yes,
but
it's
doing it
on.
But not doing it in an ironic sense. Like actually,
no, they were just douchey.
Yes.
Yes, I just left the Bay Area and have come up here to Montana.
It wasn't quite that bad, but it was close enough that it made me think of you.
Oh my God. This is kind of an aside, but I read an article in the San Francisco Gate the other day, and the title went something like, Californians moved to Montana, find they're not wanted. And the whole article is just this giant article of surprise that they had no idea that when they got here, nobody was going to want them here.
Go on any Montana message board.
I think there has been a one-way hatred that they just didn't know about.
They didn't care to research it, apparently.
No.
Because it has been that way. Like, it's not a new thing. I'll say that.
Oh, beyond our lifetimes. And we're both, early 40s. So.
Yeah, it's wild. It runs deep here.
It surely does. Nobody likes the Bay Area.
I can hear Brittany in the background.
Yeah, she hates it when I say that.
The series is currently called Know Your Rivals, which in a biblical sense means the exact same thing, sort of. I think the only conclusion that can be drawn from this is that you guys are clever enough to be able to say catfish you every time you do the series without getting in trouble with any of your platforms. Keep up the great work.
I appreciate that. I don't think there's much cleverness to that, but just some dumb luck. But I'll take it either way.
I will take it. I like it. I'll think about it every single year at this time now.
Oh, yeah, that's not going away.
Joshua comes in via YouTube, says, So when I went to watch, this is written poorly because it's a 49ers fan. So when I went and watched every throw, and I'll just read this exactly like it says. I'm not even going to edit his words for him. Sure. So when I went and watched every throw and run Trey Lance made, and it wasn't nowhere as bad as you guys tried to make it seem. His last game he played wasn't so good, but it was the only game he played that year. What's also crazy is Allen in college was worse. I've studied all his college games, so I'm surprised how much Allen has improved, plus numbers don't lie. The only thing you did get right was that Lamar throws the ball more than Lance. But does it matter? He's on a team that wins by running the ball. He does need to work on his accuracy. A lot of his incompletions come from overthrowing the ball. You guys are worried about the deep ball when you need to be worried about that zone read. I think I nailed it.
Yeah, that's how it came across when I read it. He's not wrong. That zone read is going to be kind of deadly with Trey for 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I mean, wildcat kind of thing. He's going to learn right quick. He can't play physical like he did in college with the big boys in the NFL. He'll be out of the league in a hurry if he tries to do that.
I feel like Shanahan should have a pretty good experience level with that, though.
Yeah, he does. And you could see the last time he had that situation, he didn't care at all. He just destroyed a guy.
Yeah. I feel like he should have learned is my thinking on it.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that he's going to. But as far as I don't know how he put it, watching every throw, like, okay, cool. I did too, and you're wrong. And so far in Trey Lance's career, what we can say statistically, because numbers don't lie, I was right.
He had that one good one, though. And that one good one in practice.
Even a blind squirrel finds it out once in a while. He's got a hose. I mean, he's got a lot of arm strength. There's no doubt about it. But like when he's like, well, you're overblowing the accuracy issues. He just overthrows people. Well, like, I don't care how you miss him. If you miss him, it's a bad throw. Just because you miss him throwing it harder doesn't make it a better miss.
Yeah, not every ball has to be thrown on a rope.
To quote the Big Show to Brett Favre on the sidelines, no more rocket balls, please. Done with the rocket balls.
Zeke Willoughby came in after the 49ers episode, says, keep your receipts, you dumb catfish. LOL.
Joke's on him. I don't keep any of my receipts. I just keep it on my bank statement. So I guess I got them all.
Hey, we got 341 episodes of receipts. Feel free to give us the time code on any of the places where we're wrong. I haven't seen anybody come in with one yet.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say that we're infallible. I mean, because that's.
You did say that Tom Cable would probably be the Seahawks' next head coach.
Every once in a while we have gotten one wrong, but boy, you'd have to search, man. Yeah, that would be for that 49ers fan. That would mean hours upon hours of listening to us to find those, I don't know, 2.5 times we've been wrong.
Do it.
Yeah. So go. I dare you. Like, do it.
On to do better and better at life.
All right. My do better this week, Brandon, is for a constituent of the great state of Utah. They the title of the article is this: Utah governor responds to constituent demanding he change, quote, obscene last name. Okay. So Utah Governor Spencer Cox got got a letter at his office, and he posted it on the Insta or whatever it is, one of the social medias. Letter goes like this: Dear Governor Cox. So he's already using the name he doesn't like. I do not know if you know this, but when people say your surname, it sounds like the word catfish. It's obscene. Us decent people here in Utah will not stand for it. The Honorable Republican Party will not stand for it. Most importantly, I will not stand for it because of your reluctance to change your foul, dirty, and obscene surname. Myself and thousands of other Utahns will be sitting in protest, not standing, until you change your heinous surname to something less offensive. This is a social justice issue, and we will not be denied basic human decency. If our simple request is not met here, we will assemble and do what democracy was made to do by recalling you from office because of your filthy surname. This is not a communist dictatorship. This is the great state of Utah. We do not accept. I yelled that because that was in all caps with an exclamation point.
Okay.
We do not accept sick jokes.
Do you think it was like
rampant.
This is Sparta?
Yeah, I think that's where it was coming from. I didn't have the abs to do it justice, but I tried.
Just picture it in your mind. Adam flexing his abs as he's yelling, "This is the great state of Utah."
Exactly. We do not accept sick jokes to run rampant in our civil institutions. We demand a response to this letter, and we expect to hear back from your office soon. Love, a very concerned citizen. I don't know what this person is thinking. Number one, I don't think him or his ancestors picked the last name Cox. You just have one. You're born with it. It's not like he went out and was like, "Oh, I got born as a Tomlinson." Not screw that. I'm going Cox. He didn't make that choice just to play a sick joke on Utah when he was someday governor of the state. And where he gets the idea that by him having the last name Cox, he is somehow a communist dictator is absolutely ridiculous. And then to say that somehow him and all of the thousands of Utahns or whatever they're called, Utes, decided that they're offended by this and are going to, quote, protest. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? We're not going to stand for this. It's absolutely absurd. This is where partisanship has gone way past the skis because this is even one of his own. He's a Republican governor. And this guy's still pissed at him because he didn't choose his own last name. So to a very concerned citizen, do better.
This has to be a joke, right? That was not written seriously.
No, this is for real. So that's what I thought. And so they asked him, they're like, Governor Cox, this has to be a joke, right? And Cox responded by saying his constituent affairs director thinks it's very serious. So I think
what
there
he
might
should
be more to it.
Because his last name's spelled COX, right?
Correct.
I would change I would go down, change the spelling of my last name to CK instead of X.
Yeah. So the governor's response is really grateful for the criticism and constructive feedback I get from constituents that demand I change my name. And then a faceplant emoji.
Yeah.
That was gold. I when I was reading that article, I was dying laughing. I mean, that letter is just, wow. Talk about things to care about in life.
Somebody's spelling of their name that makes you feel a little uncomfy.
Yeah. I'm sorry you don't like catfish.
Maybe you should change it to something that rhymes with Linus Aminus.
Yeah, that would work. Oh, what would that? I'm trying to think of what rhymes with those words. I don't know.
You got to listen to the lyrics of OPP.
Oh, okay. Well, Governor Penis doesn't have a real ring. Well, maybe it does. Governor Penis, he's a real catfish.
It's weird.
He's got to change. No, what he needs to do now, he needs to change his first name from Spencer to Richard.
Yes.
And then go by Dick, and then just be Dick Cox.
Have I ever told you I did a military training one time? The guy who giving the training was legitimately named Richard Dick.
I guess I guess his parents felt like he needed to know what he was all about. I don't know.
Why would
Did
you
he pop out of the womb like just mean? And they're like, he's a catfish.
If your last name is Dick, how do you name your kid Richard? How do you do that?
I don't know.
I don't need people calling my kid Dick. I don't want that.
I don't know. I mean, if you say it real fast, maybe it sounds more foreign. Like, hey, Dick.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Don't know how I'm going to treat this when it comes to catfishes when this comes out. Fortunately, we have the uncensored version at gettingtheflock.com.
Yeah, you're going to want that one this week.
Might do better this week. Man, this is not the way I wanted to start off the show because I was livid. I almost brought this to you before we even started.
Oh.
There's a company that does ads on a lot of prominent podcasts that reached out to me this past week. And I never want to tell anybody that they can't support the show. Right. And so I was trying to explain to them in a way of how this show operates with support from the audience. Mm-hmm. And that, we have executive producer levels. They come in, we give them a shout out every single show. So if that was something that they're interested in getting their brand name out there, that, hey, you could be an executive producer and we'd give you a shout out every single time. And that would just be because we don't do traditional ads. And there's a reason.
It's just not for us. Yeah.
It's not for us. We tried it. It causes us to have to sit in meetings. We actually, like, every time they're like, oh, we got to set up a meeting to talk about what this brand's all about. And we have to sit in a meeting and then they tell us what we have to say. And then I have to go in after the show and I got to clip it out and I got to upload it. And so they can hear what we had to say. And then they can say, oh, well, we didn't like you to have to do that. So we're going to have you do one over again. And that is work that we do not want to have to do. It's less time that we can spend preparing to actually talk about the stuff that you want to hear. And, we have regular jobs too. So that's way less time. And so this is the format that works for us. I'm trying to pass that along to them to say, this is what we do. It either works for you or it doesn't. And he responds, so does the pod not do actual sponsors, but a contributor spotlight, essentially? I'm like, you son of a catfish! Not actual sponsors? What are you talking about? We have over 325 actual sponsors.
Yeah.
These are the people that sponsor the show and make it happen every single week. So I was so pissed when I read that. So they're not actual sponsors.
Right.
These actual sponsors have supported the show more than you ever have. And I'm not going to say who this company is, but I will say that I've already got the right tool for the job for you right here. Do better.
Right. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you might have been talking to a little bit of a tool. Little pop, like just confused. Wait, so what you're saying is you'd rather take money from the regular people that care about the show, that appreciate what you do for them, rather than a corporate tool that makes you say stuff that you don't believe. Is that what you're trying to say? Because I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like that. Is that where he was coming from?
And it's not like we don't have people that own businesses. You got Garen with Guaranteed Barbecue. Yeah. We give him shout outs all the time. Got my brother with Camp Creek Coffee, who helps make the coffee prizes that we send out to people and do things. And you got Kathy Kunkler down there in California at Old Town Coffee and Chocolates. Kathy's been supporting the show forever. So yeah, if you're ever in Eureka, California, Old Town Coffee and Chocolates, got to stop there. So yeah, that's not just a people spotlight. No, these are people that support the show. We support them and they're awesome.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm sorry I was confused by that, but it's not surprising. Like when we sit down on those meetings, like how much corporate speak do we sit and listen to when we did that? Stuff that doesn't even, like, just phrases that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And like they want you to repeat. Just it's stupid. Like, I mean, they obviously don't understand, like, we actually have a real relationship with our little flockers, our friends.
Yeah, we're going to hang out at the Titans game.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
I don't know.
Not going to make the Broncos game, but
yeah.
And you know what? They're fine. Tell me that it's not for you. And I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't insult me and say that, they're not actual sponsors.
Well, I'm sure it is confusing to them in a way, because I think most people, especially when they're first getting into this podcast stuff, somebody wants to throw a little bit of money at you like that, a sponsor. It makes you feel like you've kind of made it, like you're kind of a big deal. Oh, like, they actually want to, run an ad on our show because we have influence, blah, blah, blah. Like, I felt that way for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, we tried it.
Yeah. Just not good for our deal.
On to Better at Life.
All right. My Better at Life than Skip Bayless this week is for Jamal Adams' mom.
That's who my Better at Life is this week, too.
Ha! Eat it. I got it first.
I'm co-signing on your Better at Life.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just very appreciative of Mrs. Adams calling up and reading Jamal's full name, the full name, and just letting him know it's time to take that contract.
Yeah, Greg Bell tweeted out and said, Jamal Adams says what convinced him to sign was mom texting him a full paragraph at midnight Dallas time from back home. She used my full name. When my mother says my full name, I need to pay attention.
Mama's always right. So, yeah, Pete and John did a great job in the negotiation. I'm sure Jamal did a great job in the negotiation. Sounds like it all went really well. But really, it's Jamal Adams' mom that is the gal here that deserves all the credit. And I just want to thank her from the bottom of my heart. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Mama Adams, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Heck yeah, no doubt about it. Now, since she seems to have the mom guilt trip down really, really well, I think we need to utilize her going forward in closing contracts with the rest of the players.
Oh. Bring in the special negotiator?
Yeah. I don't know what Dwayne's middle name is, but, Dwayne the Mammoth Brown signed that contract.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, sorry, mama. And signs it. Or maybe she just needs to start a group of Seahawks players' moms, get them all together, and potential Seahawks players' moms, and then, kind of teach them all how to peer pressure their children into signing the contracts that we want.
As long as it gets to the point to where it's a really fair deal for both sides, and you just need that one little push over the goal line, you call in mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Mama Adams specifically.
Yeah, that was a fun story. Of course, it got overplayed, but it was an interesting tidbit.
I don't care if it's overplayed on a show where we're celebrating Jamal Adams extending for 4 years with the Seahawks, being here for the next 5 years. There's only 3 players on the roster now that are signed through 2025. It's Jamal Adams, Tyler Lockett, and Michael Dixon.
There you go.
And Michael Dixon needs to change that dirty last name of his.
That's right. So, Michael, change your name to Coxon.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.